Alright, so you might be wondering when you watch this why I'm shielding my eaves and not masking everything. And there's a lot of objections on this. A lot of people think, oh, well, if you shield the eaves, it doesn't come out as clean. It doesn't, I don't know what the whole reason of people think it isn't. Oh, it doesn't takes longer, you miss more. Actually, it's not really true. None of those things are true. Because after I'm done with this, even though I'm spraying the eaves right now, I'm actually going to go back with the brush, with the paint really nice and thin. I'll show you that in another video. If you stay subscribed and watch the other videos, you'll see how I do that. So on the straight parts of the eaves, I use a shield, and when you have a nice starter board to work with, I use a shield. And then on the gable sides, like this side here, I'm scraping off a little something with my spray tip. Didn't have my putty knife with me, so good old painter's mistake there. But I'm actually up on the ladder, and I'm going to go ahead and spray these. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and get a minimal amount. Now I have very low pressure. I'm almost spraying almost into a finger with my pressure very low, maybe a little bit of blown out tip. And I think I'm using still a 515. I might usually switch at this point to a 415 when I'm doing eaves. It depends on what I'm using, what material I have on there. Generally, I'm always using on a rough wood. I'm going to be using flat. If somebody says they want enamel, I just tell them no, I don't do that. And they go, why? And I say, well, because rough sawn wood is porous, and and when you get water behind the wood, and the enamel is sealed, so it's semi-gloss satin, all those things there, it seals the wood, and what happens is when the water gets in, it has no place to go, so it just takes the paint right off with it. So if you want to put enamel on your eaves, have somebody else do it, because I'm not doing it. So that usually settles that problem very quickly, and lets your customer know that you know what you're doing, and then gets you back as the professional. And that's usually how I deal with it. If somebody specifically wants that, and they have to have enamel on their eaves, then I'll tell them that, hey, I'm not going to be able to guarantee it, because if anything happens, I've already told you that I won't normally use that material. In fact, most of the time I won't even do the job. So it doesn't matter, you can turn down work. It's not a big deal. You're not their slave. You're the one that's supposed to tell them what to do, and that's up to you to take control and be the manager of your own jobs. So anyway, the reason I'm doing this is I'm going to go through with a brush with the material that's thin, and I can actually brush that eve color into the stucco perfectly and make it look just as straight as if you masked it. Just as straight. There's no difference. It looks exactly the same from the ground, because you have a rough edge stucco and you have a rough edge eave. So it's not going to be 100% perfectly straight line, even if you mask it. So when you use this technique, you save about 4 to 5 man hours per job, at least, depending on your crew. And when I did them by myself, I used to do this all the time. That's how I did all my houses. And I never had a complaint about the eaves not being straight. Never had a complaint about the two colors where they came together, and it works just fine. So take a look at that other video where I'm showing you guys that I'm cutting in the eave to the stucco. It's coming up shortly, if it isn't up already. And I can tell you, it really saves you man hours. It saves you masking materials. So in a year you could be looking at $4,000 or $5,000 in cost if you were doing all stucco and eaves different colors, and $4,000 or $5,000 in your pocket every year that you might be throwing away by just using masking. It all depends on you and your labor. Because if you have a guy, like for instance, on this job we had a guy who's just a laborer, and basically we had 2.5 painters. One guy's still learning, and he's doing really good. He's a really good guy. Junior is actually a really good employee. He's actually working really hard at trying to good painter and you know, who's a gamer. So it's a big step for a gamer to be a painter. So anyway, he's earned really well. And first, when he first started working, he couldn't even get up on a 6-foot ladder. Now he just runs up on the roof like no problem, because he's learned the right way to. That's him coming down the roof right now, I think.
Fucking heavy.
I'm not sure. One of them. And you know, they've learned how to do that, do it the right way. You see the ladder's 3 feet above the roof line, and that's the way you do it right. And normally I don't use this ladder. This is a folding ladder. It's super heavy. Just that none of us really wanted to put the ladder rack on the truck to carry the extension ladder, so we just grabbed the folding ladder. Since we only had a couple ladder sets with it, we figured it might be a little bit easier to manage on this job. But I normally would not use this ladder because it's just too heavy. It's not a good ladder for this type of work. We usually use this ladder only for jobs where we're going and, you know, we're taking the car, we're not taking the truck, we're driving 400 miles to do a job, and you know, of course I get really good money for those, so but I don't want to give away all my money in fuel, so we take the car that gets 40 miles a gallon versus taking the truck that gets about 17 or 18. So that's what this ladder's for. But anyway, talk more about this stucco and eaves thing. So what you do is you spray, and if I use a low pressure, you can spray it right onto the edge of the stucco. If you use too high of a pressure, you're going to be cutting in down below, and you'll have a lot more pickup work to do, and it takes a lot more time. But if you get that pressure set just right, you'll find this to be a really good way to do it. So at the same time, what I do while I'm going up to cut in the eaves, I actually walk up the ladder and I look at the stucco and look for my stucco misses. So it gives you an opportunity at the same time while you're going up to you know, cut your stucco into your eave. It gives you the time to go around and look at your stucco at the same time, so it actually saves you a step of touch-up. So it actually can be faster in that respect as well. So, you know, there's a lot of gain to it and a little bit to lose, and first time you try it, it's going to probably take you longer than doing it the other way with masking. But after about 3 or 4 times, if you just don't give up on it, and you really master your brushing technique, you will really be so much faster this way, that you know, and it'll save you some labor costs. That is, if you have painters. But what I was saying before is, you know, we had a labor guy here, a couple, you know, guys who are more laborers than they are painters, so we could have had them mask the eaves, and that would have been adequate. And if you have that kind of crew, then that might help. This might not help you that much, because you have guys that are just mainly for that particular purpose. Typically, like I said, I worked by myself for a long time, and there's a big reason for that. But I did for a long time, and this is how I did my houses. And when I go up on the ladder, you know, that's because I'm a painter, and I could go up on the ladder and I could cut in that stucco. And if a painter's masking, that's costing you money. So sometimes if you have the crew, you have the right guys there, like I said, this can work out really good for you. It just depends on your crew, depends on what you've got, and, you know, and stuff like that. And this job, my guys, they don't like to do it. They think, oh, man, it's faster to mask it, blah blah blah, and whatever. They give me a lot of problem for doing this. But in honesty, you know, I can tell you we saved about 2 hours on this job the next day, because we didn't spend that extra 2 to 3 hours of masking, and we saved about $20 in masking material. So, you know, if you want to give that money away, go for it. If you want to save it, you want to learn how to make more money, keep watching videos. I'm going to show you ways to make more money painting, and new ways to do stuff that may or may not work for you. And, you know, like I said, you know, you're going to try them the first couple times, and you're going to swear that it doesn't work. There's no way that works, blah blah blah. There's no way, Mike, you're wrong. That's all right. You know, it's because you're not doing part of it right. You're not doing it the same way that I'm doing. You're not doing something that I already know that works, and I've already tried, and I've already mastered, and it does work, and it is faster for sure, 100% of the time. I've even done this when I had dark green and almost a pure white stucco, and I've gotten it to cover in one coat. So it all depends on how you mix that paint. You know, that doing that touch up around the eaves and running that brush, and you know, that's the mastering technique right there. And you're going to watch that other video, and I'll show you cutting in how you can go around there. And at the same time, again, like I said, I'm going to be going up and down that ladder. I'm going to catch all my stucco misses. So a lot of guys are spending a lot of time going back and forth, looking for those stucco misses with a spray gun in their hand, walking, and when they can just go up, get the job done, come back with their brush, cut in their eave to the stucco, touch it up with a brush, and be out of there. So anyway, please, I'll talk to you guys in the next video. We're getting towards the end of this here, coming up pretty soon. Please like and share and subscribe. Let's see you guys walking. Let's all make some money, and I'll teach you guys what I know, and hopefully it'll help you guys make some more money in the future.